This review is of Fates and Furies, a novel by Groff, National Book Award finalist. And there's Lauren. This is a long and complicated book. It is interesting, but not really a book written for the masses. It's more of a semi-autobiographical book about the author and her husband, in a way, I think, although not entirely. The story revolves around Lotto and Matilda. And Lotto, or Lancelot, is the child of a rich couple. His father dies young, and he's very spoiled, and thus he's very self-absorbed. But he has a great deal of capacity for love to his wife, and yet he's very insensitive, and the self-absorption, the narcissism, well, it's not really narcissism, but he tends to forget sometimes, maybe often, that his wife is deserving of more than he gives her, and yet she loves him very much because he saw in her something that she could not see in herself, and that gave her respite from the horrors of her youth. She was more three-dimensional than him, and yet I don't think that really he was entirely two-dimensional, but she was definitely fleshed out better, because in her you see both the good and the bad in a different way than the good and bad in him. He was a womanizer, and he was having sex with everybody and stuff, and here she was, somebody who had no friends, and they somehow made a life together despite the differences. He was, for her, I think you could say, a saving grace. Half the book is from his perspective, half the book is from her perspective, and it is a book of achievement in the regard to Lauren Groff. It's well written, it's well considered, it's complicated. Sometimes you get irritated with the characters, or you like the characters. I would not say it is the height of writing. It didn't trigger a lot of strong feelings in me. Yes, there was sometimes sadness or irritation or whatever, but it didn't really get under my skin the way that some other books that were not as well written as this one, technically speaking, have done. And that means that if you're not a bit of a book snob, I think it's fair to say, you may not be able to appreciate this. And yet I think that there are people who are not book snobs who will appreciate this. And there are other people who are so used to being fed pulp fiction that they will never understand the value of this book. And those are the majority of readers. So if you are a person who reads a lot of pulp fiction, I challenge you to read this and discover within it its value, instead of setting it aside after a while and saying, oh, it's so full of sex and drugs and sex and vanity and vileness. You have to look at what the author has attempted and what she has accomplished with this book. Challenge yourself to be a better reader, because this book will do that for you. I'll give this book a 7.5, because again, it's a very well written book. I didn't find anything really erroneous about it, but at the same time, it didn't evoke strong responses in me emotionally. So, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.